this isn't really a fun day. We heard that Casey Zevenberg passed away night before last. What a great guy. And we wanted to show some kind of tribute to him. And so we have a little video hooked to this of when we did shine the light. I'm so glad we did because he really didn't want to do it. Chris kept getting on him about doing it. So anyway, it's a sad thing. When I go to trivia, you expect to see certain faces. And if they're not there, it's always, I wonder what's going on, But anyway, I'll turn it over to Chris and then it'll move on to the remembrance part of the video. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was shocked. Found this out through. I want to give a shout out to Tanya and Pass who contacted me. She said she thinks it's like a false post. I said, let me check. Found out he hasn't been on the show on trivia for the last couple of days. I said, can you give me the contact information of the person named Dave Johnson, which is like his best friend? Reached out to Dave. He was actually with his wife. He confirmed it. Broke my heart, literally. And I don't want to think of sad thoughts right now, but I will say this is one thing that I totally enjoyed. I think we all did. And when we do our trivia, we're going through all kind of things with Zoom and Connect. And every time Casey would turn on his sound, there would be like if someone would talk, there'd be an echoing, and it was always coming from him. And I would always say, Casey, will you mute yourself, please? And he would get so flustered. It's not me, it's not me. And it was always funny because it turned into kind of a joke. Two of them, Harold and Casey, we'd say, Casey, Harold, mute yourself, will you, for crying out loud? And that was one of the short things. But I had communicated with Casey almost on a daily basis. He would send me fishing stuff. He would send me funny stories. He sent me a picture of his absolutely beautiful wife, and our condolences out to you. I know he had 3 kids, and he just was a good guy, and he was full of life. Things happen. We don't always understand why, but you will definitely be missed, Casey. You were a lot of fun. Not only did everyone know you, but no one's ever going to forget about you. The comments I'm seeing through social media about you are absolutely amazing. In the Omino group, we're our kind of like our closest knit friends. We're all in shock because it was a hurt one, but we love you, Case, and we're going to do this because you were that kind of person that you would come in that you'd meet. I talked about before. There's people you meet in your life that absolutely change your life, make you smile, make you happy, and Casey Zevenberg was one of those individuals. I believe he was in his early 80s. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. But he didn't show it. And he had a pretty amazing life in his career and all that. We'll show that here in a second. But Casey Zevenberg, to all your family, we love you. We're always here for you no matter what, and you will never be forgotten, my brother. Marty?
And one last time, Casey Zevenbergen.
That was the highlight. That was the highlight of Casey's day when JJ, formerly known as Shorty, would come on and scream Casey Zevenbergen. You'll hear that in this clip. And if you looked at Casey's face, he lit up like a light bulb with the biggest smile you can believe. So, like I said, one of those things you just don't forget about a person, and he was just a great guy. Marty.
Okay. Here we go.
Casey Zevenbergen.
There you go. Casey Zevenbergen, the floor is all yours.
Well, firstly, thank you very much, Shorty, for that introduction. G'day, Marty and Chris. Great to be here with you today. Hello, everyone. As you already know, my name is Casey Zevenbergen. and I'm an Aussie, so I hope you can understand my accent. I was born in Holland on a dairy farm, or as Julie Pierre prefers to call it, the Netherlands. Both my parents were 9 and 10 years old when World War II broke out. My father, he lived on a farm in the country, and my mother and her parents ran a mixed business in Rotterdam, one of the biggest seaports in the world today. When I was 4 years old, back in 1958, giving my age away, my parents and one younger brother at the time immigrated to Australia by ship, which took 6 weeks, and we disembarked in Melbourne, the capital of the state of Victoria. My mother actually was a 100,000 Dutch migrant into Australia. We settled in the city of Geelong, about 40 miles southwest of Melbourne. My father was a mechanical engineer, and his first job was with the Ford Motor Company. He stayed there for a few years, not like 32 years that Chris Johnson has done. And then he joined a Dutch engineering company working in the Shell refinery on maintenance and construction work. We had a nice house built beside the river in a small, quiet, new area of Geelong. We did a lot of swimming and fishing and trapping rabbits, and there was also a lot of tiger snakes, a very highly venomous species that I frequently came across and dispatched. I grew up there, and at 16 I began an apprenticeship in structural steel fabrication, boilermaker, and went on to get an engineering degree in the years that followed, and ended up working in the same industry as my father. It was a good job. I mean, there was plenty of money in the oil and gas industry right throughout Australia, so it was a great career to follow. I was married and I had 3 children. My eldest son died, unfortunately, from an alcohol addiction at the age of 37 in November 2019. Unfortunately, you can give them good advice, but they don't always listen. We moved up to the Gold Coast in Queensland in 1994. As the actually, she got a university position up there, so I did a lot of contract work out of the Gold Coast, Brisbane, and throughout Australia. In mid-2007, I came to Thailand to get dental work done, as it's much cheaper than Australia. Stayed here 10 days. Also found out that most Australian dentists were having their crowns, except for me here in Thailand, and then of course charged exorbitant prices to their customers. I enjoyed my short time here and met someone that wanted to, of all things, open a Vietnamese restaurant on Samui Island. It's an island actually in the Gulf of Thailand. It's a great place to live. The weather was always warm, but a little bit isolated. Things weren't going as well at home, so I decided to make the change. We had great staff, and at times I had to actually do the dishes as we were so busy. We kept the restaurant for 3 years and then sold it and moved back up to her city in northeast Thailand called Khon Kaen, where I found out since there is another ONPASSIVE founder living there. His name is Rick Siegel. You may know him as he comments on an awful lot of posts. Great guy. Not long after, in 2011, I secured a job back in Australia, in Darwin, as a senior shutdown turnaround superintendent for the Conoco LNG plant shutdown and revamp. I spent 10 months there, planning and execution phases, and obviously during the turnaround, spending 14 hours a day, 7 days a week working. And just as an aside, all the LNG that was produced in that plant was shipped to Japan. But for those who don't know, LNG is sort of stored at minus 256 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 C. At the completion of the works, I went back to Thailand, and actually I moved to the city of Pattaya. It's about 80 miles. International fabrication work, is about 30, 45 minutes either south or north of here, so it was an ideal location to. And besides that, I had an awful lot of friends, associates, and they worked here. Some in the Middle East, but Thailand was a home. They would always come back for their R&R, maybe 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, things like that. Excuse me. I was fortunate enough early after coming back here to secure a couple of fabrication positions here in Pattaya or close by. One was a major mining, iron ore mining project in Australia. Another project was an of all things, another LNG plant for Impex in Darwin, Australia. When I speak about fabrication, it means we build modules which are then shipped to site. They're reassembled. Look, it's a bit like a Meccano set. You know, weights from 20 ton to over 50 ton. Oh, sorry, 300 ton. You know, but safety was always a priority because all international companies that do work here work to international codes, because we always want to achieve a zero lost time injury. Most of the Thailand sort of dried up when the COVID BS was rolled out in 2020. So I'll get onto ONPASSIVE. I first came across ONPASSIVE back in October 2018 from actually an Australian friend who was also living here at the time. I watched the two great videos that Ash had already produced. Unfortunately, in mid-November of 2018, I had an issue with my heart that required me to get to the hospital as soon as possible. Luckily, I did, as my heart stopped shortly after arriving in the emergency department and needed to be jump-started. To cut a long story short, actually, I needed a pacemaker installed, which was done the following day. And I only spent two nights in hospital and was back home again. Great surgeon. My ONPASSIVE friend contacted me, not long after that. I looked at it carefully as for $97, as most people, everyone knows. And, you know, this could actually be my retirement fund. So as a Christmas present, I purchased a GoFounder position in December 2018, about the same time that we got our first website. And I haven't looked back since. Not being a marketer, as most of you guys know, or ever being involved in MLM, I came in green. So this was a great opportunity to get into a totally new field. Early on was a bit slow, but it was interesting watching the numbers of GoFounders grow. Soon I came across the likes of Mr. Jeff Lee Morlock, Mike Ellis videos, which I enjoyed and actually learned a lot from. I came across not long after that was, of course, MARTY, Red, and of course, Chris Johnson's webinars, Julian Milo, Rob Lynn, Friday Night Live, and Let's O. And now on a daily basis, Omanu, where we have great fun playing trivia. So we actually need some more people to join us. Look, I may not say a lot, but I am 100% behind Mr. Ash Mafare and ONPASSIVE, of course, as you all know. And I see a very bright future for all those that are true founding affiliates. And when the money starts coming in, I guess first I need to take care of myself and then start looking for worthwhile OBLS projects here in Thailand. To finish up, a big thank you for everything you're doing for us, Mr. Ash. And I'm looking forward to really looking forward to seeing and hoping that he comes on OP 360 in around about, I don't know, what is it? In about an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours. So I love you, brother. Thank you, everything, Ash. I think I've pretty much gone over my life.